Hi, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm just delighted to see you all. And this is Spoken World Online week number 130. Troll hole. Troll holding sticks in air, talking in code concerning faces that gleam eye from not quite there across the room, the shuddering disposition, the twisted path to tangled thickets many, where vulture crows caw and a painter's canvas absorbs paint and sun rays in eye, mind, thought, vision reconstruction. The light yellow sun pale in the moonlight, and the stars gleam in constellations, and all the night animals and airs and feelings are all around, menacing to the menaced. Awesome, beautiful, poetic love, I suppose, to those who are happy and in balance. The days of sticks are nigh at hand and keen to make a stand away from here, out into the world to find out what the place is like and discover the true higher meaning of troll caves and troll holes on all levels from all directions. And the reason I chose that silly theme was because on September 9th, 1979, I, with my friends Dan and my other friend Dan, we went under a certain bridge on Strawberry Creek in Berkeley, California, and we had a collective revelation, or you could say hallucination, that we were to found the troll empire, and we did. And it took off. And it was mostly fun-loving pranks, a little culture jamming, little guerrilla ontology. And of course, we had no inkling or idea that not all people were as lighthearted and well-meaning as us, and that people could also use those tools for malevolent or less noble reasons. So that was that. And I also wanted to note that yesterday, September 5th, was the 30th anniversary of the death of Fritz Leiber, the great 20th century writer, and who was one of my literary heroes. And then through total serendipity, I became good friends with in his final years. Totally, I don't have time to tell that story, but it was amazing and totally unexpected. And I was even invited to work with him editorially on this, the last of his Fafford and the Grey Mauser series. So in tribute to Fritz, I'm just going to read one paragraph from this book, and I would urge all of you to seek out Fritz Leiber books and read them. You'll be better for it. We all will. It is an old saw in the world of Nehuan that the fate of heroes who seek to retire, or of adventurers who decide to settle down, so cheating their audience of honest admirers, that the fate of such can be far more excruciatingly doleful than that of a Lankmar princess royal, shanghaied as cabin girl aboard an Ilfmar trader, embarked on the carkingly long voyage to Tropic Klesh or frosty Noamblask. And let such heroes merely whisper a hint about a last adventure, and their noisiest partisans and most ardent adherents alike will be demanding that it end, at the very least, in spectacular death and doom, endured while battling insurmountable odds and enjoying the enmity of the evilest archgods. little taste of Fritz. So into the heart of the reading. When I visited New York for the first time in March, I wrote a lot of verses, and those have come together as 6 poems. I'm going to read those. New York arrival. Map in the mind, territory in the body, culture endless, literary references galore. Took me 61 years plus to move from printed word, recorded sounds, images archival and live, flickering and pulsing on screens, to walk here. JFK arrival early in the morning, red-eye flight from SFO. Take the A train from Howard Beach through Brooklyn, emerge from subway, Midtown Manhattan. Welcome to New York. March 17th, 2022. My late father's birthday, and I miss him. St. Patrick's Day parade, queuing to march up Fifth Avenue. Above the Korean coffee diner on East 44th Street, on the cafe balcony, endless Irish American firefighters in best dress with ancient Hibernians in line for the restroom. Because the brigades assembling on the street below are restless, ready to march. 11 a.m., and I have not had a pint. Redheaded lass says, now that's a sin. No excuse not to be drinking. Just a little bit of light rain falling on Manhattan. I watch the parade from the corner, East 44th Street at Fifth Avenue, where the parade begins. Police, soldiers, firefighters, endless marching bands, my new friends from upstairs representing all counties of Ireland pass by with banners and drums. Stop, about face, all look down Fifth Avenue towards Lower Manhattan, ground zero. Moments of silence for the 9/11 fallen. The parade resumes, reviewed at St. Patrick's Cathedral, proceeds along Uptown. A nice walk, one of my diner friends had told me, all the way to Fifth Avenue and East 79th Street, a living legacy. Time to check in at the Hotel St. James. Joey, the desk clerk, declares, you are good people and good things will happen. So back outside on West 45th Street, a block further west, open Times Square, like a living video game, grand computer simulations, immigrants from Asia, apparently in funny costumes, endless Elmos and Disney mice, towering transformers, searching for air ducts, more than meets the eye. By 10 p.m., the Irish, and once a year Irish, are looking bedraggled or roaring drunk outside Connolly's and the Perfect Pint. Blonde women in tiny green dresses screaming drunk across the street. A fireman, now in his cups, keeps his cigarette lit in the heavier rain. An old man in a soggy kilt on his grim path home. Girlfriends with a grip on their unstable boys guide them towards the subway. New York, false spring. The next day, warm false spring, seemingly millions of bare midriff young women soaking up the sun in Washington Square Park, jam-packed, fragrant pot smell, bros with spliffs, little table with poems for sale, Perhaps the world's worst busker beneath the arch, singing an amplified guitar until police come, tell her to shut it down. Continuing through Greenwich Village, the White Horse Tavern, no space at the bar. Dylan Thomas's ghost, long departed. Onward to the Hudson River, people promenade. A topless woman asks passersby, "Is there something wrong with your eyes?" What an exhibitionist. So stroll back up Christopher Street, subway back uptown, and stop at Jimmy's Corner, the Captain's IPA, and straight Jameson. And when ready to go, local drunk Brandon insists on another round. A beer and a shot too far. No fancy drinks. Steer clear the Times Square hustlers and clumps of cops. The room at St. James, quiet and warm. Sleep late Saturday, Barney Greengrass breakfast, and walk to the Dakota, and a most somber heart, passing the spot where John was killed. And 4 doormen now on duty. Enter Central Park, strawberry fields forever. We don't pay to play. East Village Sunday Book Club Bar, the lovely back patio. Enter Jane's Spoken Word and Albion Bass. Open mics won a $15 cover charge, and they want you to buy drinks. Guys hauling in amps and equipment for a 5-minute spot. Hey, I got a gig. That ain't a gig. We don't pay to play. Some do this for play. Some do this as a play. We do this for life. We need pay to play. We must eat occasionally. Poets must eat. On and off the grid. If we need a drink in Times Square, Jimmy's Corner has cheap booze and beers. Unbelievable on a quiet afternoon. Where's Brandon anyway? How can one walk through Times Square without an exploding head? Looking at the marquee at Radio City Music Hall, Bobby Weir and Wolf Bros arrive just after I leave, which is okay. See Bobby again sometime. Across the street, Adele's famous halal food cart. Line down the block, everybody looks like the guys making the food. They do the math, get in line, wait, eat the food. Now I crave that food. George M. Cohen's statue, 7th Avenue and West 46th Street. You can't bring down the curtain on a George M. Cohen production. Territory here, much bigger than the map. Heart of New York. These few midtown blocks, Chrysler Building, Empire State Building, Madison Square Garden, Rockefeller Center. So much it bends and overwhelms. I see the dropped ball. 2022. You are not in California right now, native son. Most of Manhattan on the grid, avenues and streets with numbers. But down below Houston Street, the lower and older part of Manhattan, the streets are eccentric. Broadway, the Trickster Street, weaves its way up from downtown, and even up on the grid, winds its own merry way. Overheard a guy on cell phone I am at 5th Avenue and East 32nd Street. Meet you at 8th Avenue and West 50th Street in half an hour. 42nd and Broadway, start of the Lincoln Highway. You must know that to know that. Terminus across the continent in Lincoln Park, San Francisco, by the Legion of Honor. It's next to the bus stop. Eating from the hot buffet at the Food Emporium in Amish Kitchen, 8th Avenue, West 49th Street. When thirsty again, stay thirsty, my friends. Repeat visits to Jimmy's. It's roaring. Cute blonde barmaid likes my bootleg Lucky 13 Motorhead shirt. I take off my coat so she can read the legend on the back, of which she approves. Everyone drunker than everyone else. Welcome, Roarshock. 1. Out of the city, from Grand Central Terminal on the Hudson Valley Railroad to Croton-on-Hudson for dinner with John F. McMullen and Mahopac Poetry Workshop Group. Priscilla Goldfarb picks me up at the station for the short drive to the restaurant. John's voice over the speakerphone. Where are you? How soon will you arrive? A minute later, and there he is in the parking lot at Yuca's Latin Fusion. Roarshock Fete in style, famous San Francisco poet on a magical mystery tour, sitting between Christina and Lori, enjoying iced tea, salsa and chips, and early bird fajitas. They conclude the meal with a Roman candle and a song and set my ice cream on fire. 2. Rush hour at Penn Station. Another train ride on the Long Island Railroad all the way to Babylon. Rita B. Rusty Rose waiting with handwritten sign, welcome Roarshock. Therese drives us in her car, exploring Long Island, watching ships lined up on the horizon at Fire Island. For the first time, I approach the Atlantic Ocean, dip my hands in the icy water. Rusty tells me to take some shells. I pick some up and put them in my pocket. We take a long look at the Fire Island Lighthouse and ride on through the little towns. Rusty points out an old church as we drive past. That's the church I used to go to with Kurt Vonnegut. In Mattituck, we enjoy lunch at Love Lane Kitchen, a good Cobb salad, and a cup of Long Island clam chowder. After lunch, Therese takes us to visit friends, the twins, Jay and Jay. One is a painter, the other a playwright and astrologer. We have coffee and biscotti, discuss many things, matters light but mostly lofty. While Therese and Jay the painter in the kitchen prepare the coffee and snacks, Rusty feels the presence of someone else in the big living room, somebody named Joseph B., who has something to say to the Jays, but she does not know what it is. Jay, the playwright, and I do not doubt what Rusty apprehends. Jay, the painter, tells of a site unearthed in a far-off land at least 10,000 years old, of apparent religious significance, suggesting the human search for existential meaning is older than agriculture, which was invented so that we can have beer. We talk about the war in Ukraine. Jay, the astrologer, says he has cast Vladimir Putin's horoscope, the most oblique chart he has ever seen, except for the collective horoscope of the Chinese Communist Party. What Jay has seen, Putin, through hubris, has already unleashed his own defeat and doom. But how many and how much will he bring down with him? That is our grave concern. I believe I am the only one here who is not a Roman Catholic. They are all real Catholics, wanting to do God's work on earth. They discuss Teresa's good works, helping AIDS patients when that plague first struck and was not understood. Rusty tells the real story of Stonewall when she was one of the few under siege with police inside the bar and the riot raged outside, and of revisionist history ever since. We drove back to Teresa's house in Sayville, Italian takeout for dinner with her daughter and son-in-law. Granddaughter did not come down from her room. As a dad and a grandpa, I sure get that. Well fed, tired after our long day, Rusty eager to get back home. They dropped me off at the Babylon train station. On the train ride back to Midtown Manhattan, a young woman seated in front of me, flipping through photos on her smartphone. Dinner tonight in a restaurant, her and an old man and a cake. I see her post to the social web, Dad's 82nd birthday. I miss my dad. I wish he was still alive. New York treasures. More days exploring the streets, riding the bus routes, Chinatown, Little Italy, walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, Saturday night in the East Village. Before that, the Treasures Room at New York Public Library, handwritten notes of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, Shakespeare's first folio, the first printing of the King James Bible, Kerouac's original cover art for On the Road. Greatest treasure of all, Winnie the Pooh and Friends. It gets quiet around their display. I look deep into Pooh Bear's eyes. It is a moving exercise. Excursion deep into imagination and personal history. I hear the famous bear in my head. Say hello to David Bear. I read poetry from my room at Hotel St. James via internet. Angora Poets World Cafe. Spoken World Online. Sacred Grounds from San Francisco, where I win a fabulous door prize and pick next week's theme, the Akashic Records. Sunday morning at Frick Collection, testing my knowledge of art. There is Bruegel, there is Goya and El Greco, Veronese and Titian, Rembrandt and self-portrait, Manet and Monet, and around the next corner, not one, but 3 Vermeers. New York, the levels of history, not as old as Venice or Paris. London hums in a much older tone. New York does hum day and night. from the Midtown heart to the venerable ancient streets downtown. Thanks, Joey at Hotel St. James, for a room in the back, an oasis of quiet while the big city hums and never sleeps. I love New York. I'll be back there the first week in November. And I just have one more short one to close with. And this is a cautionary tale for all times and for most times, I'm afraid. The Funny Face Gang. Screaming, gleaming close at hand, churning, burning in the sand. Forget them, lad, let them hang. Forget the Funny Face Gang. Growing, sowing across the land, moving, grooving contraband. Escape your evil ways, she sang. Escape the Funny Face Gang. Listening, glistening to a band, hearing, cheering each demand. Ignore their blasts, ignore their bang. Ignore the Funny Face Gang. Fighting, fighting, reprimand. Beaming, dreaming, final stand. Deny them all, that last cry rang. Deny the Funny Face Gang. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.